Hello again, welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to Celestial Journey. Since the last episode, I've started working on this and was kind of debating, and you guys had a lot of great input on the issue of Thaumcraft golems or Britannia. I think we'll be primarily going with Thaumcraft golems, I think, for the cake factory, after getting, everybody's input and everything like that. We're going to kind of have movement in the build. It's going to make it a little bit more interesting visually to look at, and I think it'll be a bit of fun. I have started shaping up things around through here. You can see kind of this rough, it's not symmetrical or anything like that. This rough kind of pathway that goes around here. I'm trying to avoid too much, over symmetrical stuff. So we got this, and then kind of this flat area. It's going to get kind of detailed out a bit, and this side of the building is actually going to get brought up on the side of the prison here, and then of course a little access area to come up to what's going to be right up here before too long. And then in addition, worked on this. I actually spent a while on this, longer than I really should have, I think, messing with it. But kind of just this little like raised area that kind of steps down, slightly elevated over the rest of the area, and then some pathways that come out. This is actually going to lead over to the upper layers of the prison up here, and then over here I've started kind of plotting out this build and working on what's going to be kind of an outer deck area, and then it goes into these what's going to be rooms here. And then there's going to be stairs back in here that lead upwards. But we're going to have a big building that's brought up here. The wall, this cave wall is going to kind of come over. It's going to sit partially on top of this building. So the building is actually kind of built into the stonework, I do believe. So you'll see kind of the front of the building, but not really the back of the building from the outside. And and then there's going to be some water here with kind of just some fountains pouring out from around the base of this prison bit here. But that's what I've been working on, and I was doing some thinking, and I think what we're going to be working on today is we're going to start into just very basic Thaumcraft. Also, something to note, I think I've been doing some thinking here recently, and I think we're going to push for closer to around the 30-minute, 40-minute mark with videos, because of the fact that with the amount of building that's actually going into the series, hour-long ones, I end up spending a ton of time, prepping up for content for an hour-long video, whereas I think 30, 40 minutes would be more suitable for kind of where we're getting to in the pack, because we're going to be quickly approaching the point where the prep work takes like more of an extensive amount of time, and a lot of setting up crafting systems and things like that with Corporea, as well as tons of building off camera to get builds done that may just be 30 minutes that we actually spend working on setting up a system within the build, but it might take me a couple days to build it. And then probably hitting the point where we're going to have a bit more on the building side of videos kind of littered in there, I think. So just a heads up on that. Now, we do have the Thaumcraft tab unlocked, the very basics of it. And I was actually looking, and Salus Mundus, we're going to need to get 3 of these before we get started. And the recipe is slightly different in this pack. It does still show this, but this is not doable. I did actually test it. It's not doable. But you can see that Salus Mundus does say use the recipe in the alloy smelter or induction furnace. Basically what we have to do is we have to use any kind of V crystal with some of this molybdenum. And this is going to require a block of steel, an Appalachia soul, and a pixie dust to craft this. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to get enough to make 6 Salus Mundus. That way we're kind of in a good spot on it for a little bit, because Salus Mundus is one of those things, I'm not sure how extensively it's used within this pack. We can use it to make the warp ward stuff, which is kind of nice in certain situations. We're going to need it extensively if we get into Essentia storage components. We're not going to get into that for progression, but I think we have to get into it for some later game crafting. That's like we're going to be approaching a point pretty soon where we're going to need processors. We're going to get to those automated, even though we're not actually using them. I think if this is all Thaumic Energistics, then we can mostly ignore that until we start needing this stuff. Yeah, we're going to have to automate it for the Adrosium bulbs, I do believe. That's one spot where we're going to need it for in-game for sure. And then a little bit for like the void stuff. But overall, I mean, a little bit of this is going to go a long way for us at the moment. So I think 6 crafts of this should be good for the time being. So we'll just go ahead and toss this stuff into there. Okay, it doesn't take all that long to craft, so that's good. There we go. Quest complete for our Salus Mundus. No reward from that. Now we're going to have to get a crafting table, a bookshelf, and a table, and a cauldron. Yeah, we're going to need actually quite a few things. And we're going to have to get some scribing tools before we can get started. Shooting for theory crafting, of course, at the moment. Let's go ahead and get our scribing stuff. Oh. That is something that we can definitely pull off. And then we'll go ahead and get our scribing tools. And then we're going to have to get some living wood. Let me go ahead and just grab... It's more than what I'm going to need, but to get our table, I looked at it earlier and it requires that basically that we're going to have living wood available. So we'll go ahead and get 2 of them. That's fine. So there's our 2 wood tables, and then I'm going to need I'm going to need a crafting table. I'm going to need a cauldron, and then I'm going to need a bookshelf. Can I do this with living wood? I don't see why I wouldn't be able to, but I can't. Apparently. Let's just grab a few stacks of this paper here. Okay, so what we're going to do, let's go ahead, toss down, I'm going to put it, no, I'm going to put it over here, because that's planned to be the cake factory and not the Thaumcraft area. I just haven't got the Thaumcraft area built out, so we are going to be setting this up in kind of a temporary location, but that's okay for right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and get all of these. Oh, I just wasted 2. There's that. Wait a second. Let me go ahead and get the research table pulled up. So that's done. The Thaumonomicon, we do get a Devil's Tail. I may not be able to make these just yet. Yeah, I'm going to have to do a little bit of theory crafting before I could do that. I always forget about that. Alright, so we'll just do it here for now. It's fine. Let's go ahead and toss on our scribing tools. And I guess the very first thing that we need to do is just go ahead and start theory crafting. I go over this a lot, so I'm not too worried about going over it too much. But basically, when you're doing this, there are things that you can add to give yourself upgrades. We don't have access to many of those at the moment. Things like the Arcane Crafting Table, the Runic Matrix, stuff like that will give you a little bit more focus. You can select one and equip it. You know, I'm not going to go over all of this in super detail. But the easiest way to get these is to go through and find things that are free. And, you know, just try to shoot for the things that you're going for. But you can easily do research and never have to spend a thing. You know, later on, for certain research, it'll require that you turn in items or have items on you that act as your research, I don't know, paraphernalia, let's say. but you can do this without ever needing any items. Sometimes you will have to scrap the theory, but that's what this button here is for, because sometimes you might find that you get stuck and you just don't want to mess with you don't want to mess with the things that you have to craft and stuff. It's especially useful when you need like, for example, V crystals of different types, but you don't have an easy way to get them. Like when, during that period of time where really your only way to get V crystals is through the cauldron, and that's no fun. Let's be real, everybody hates using the cauldrons. So I tend to try to avoid it, but experimentation is really, really nice for just getting random stats. And basically, whenever you get these, once you get up to 100%, you will get a theory, and they do add up. Whenever I hit complete theory, that goes in. And you can see I just got a Thalmic Energistics one. Not really one that we really need, in all honesty. But it's fine if need be. We'll take it. So, go ahead and take a rethink, and then Bonder. I'm getting a ton of those, but let's see. Let's go ahead. Yeah, that actually gives us the what we need to make this. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then we can take this, put it over here, select that, create theory. And the more things that you look in your book, the more whatever these are called, inspiration or whatever, the more of those that you'll have, like, maximum. So, but yeah, you can see right here, I can get some artifice if I have a redstone comparator. This one is not consumed, just having it will be fine. Or, instead of bothering with that, I can just take this and move on to the next step. If it has an exclamation mark, that means it's going to get consumed. So I can get some artifice, but I'm going to have to give it an ender chest. So, or I can just take the 15 artifice that's right over here. So we're going to take that. And you can see right here I have, daylight sensor and a piston. You can easily do these realistically, or you can just scrap the theory and just get a new one. And you can see now I have artifice here. And most times you'll be able to go through it without needing to spend, to have any items. But in the event that you don't, just scrap it. I find it's a whole lot quicker to just run through theories. If you've been through this whole process before, it's fairly quick just to do that. There we go. We got a theory in that. So yay! But we'll talk more about that. I just wanted to go ahead and get some theories and briefly talk about that, because I'm going to be doing a lot of theory crafting, mainly off camera. It's not something that I feel like you guys probably want to watch, because it's not terribly exciting. I do like it more personally. I know some people will disagree, and that's fine. Everybody has their preference. I do like it more than the 1.7, mini games. They're fun initially, and I think this theory crafting is fun initially, but the mini games quickly become a bore. And yeah. But we're going to go ahead and complete that, and now we need to get a thermometer, and we definitely want one of these. That way we can start getting the other version of theories, which is the scanned theories. You have your theory crafting, and then you have your scanned theories. So for this, we're just going to need weak activation crystals. I'm going to have to make up some lava crystals. That's fine. I've actually got the fire water made up, and because I knew I was going to need some of these, because I'm going to need one here, I'm going to need two here, so really I'm going to need to make 3 thermometers, plus I need one for the caster's gauntlet. So let me go grab my fire water, let me get the lava crystals made up. Let's see, there's a stack. Yeah, we might as well just take, I don't have a full stack of air, and I barely have any Ignis, but I have places where I can go get it really easily. Right down there. But I've got a bunch of, like, Terra and stuff, just, from mining and cleaning up. And we're going to go ahead and just toss these in here, and that way we can craft it. You can see we have 188 available V within this chunk, which isn't too bad, to be honest. And then let's go ahead, and I think, honestly, if we make 4 of these right now, let me see something. Is that all we're ever going to need? I mean, if we're going to have a caster's gauntlet. Where in the world did you come from? Okay. Anyways, caster's gauntlet, it's not used to craft anything, but of course we need one for casting spells and for the runic matrix. We need 2 for the goggles of revealing, which we can then apply to our Terrasteel helmet. I'll avoid Thaumaturge hood and Thaumium Fortress helmet. If we decide to make those, we'll need it, and the Thaumic Dioptra. Now this isn't overly important that we get it. It's kind of nice because it allows you to see the V in chunks around you and the warp in chunks around you. But it's not necessarily something that we have to have. I've covered it before in the past. I don't know if we'll bother making it within this pack, but we'll see. Anyways, there's our thermometers and whatever that is. And if we take a look here, we do need to get an observation on fundamentals, and then I went ahead and just turned this in for theory crafting, basically where it tells us about theory crafting. And over here we need observations in aromancy, artifice, and fundamentals. And of course the way that we get observations is scanning things. And you can see that inventory scanning is a thing now. And so we'll just go ahead and scan the things that we have on us real quick, because we're going to get a ton of observations. Observations usually take about all of 5 seconds. Especially in a pack like this where Thaumcraft is a bit later in. It doesn't take very long to get all the observations that we're going to need for like the, you know, the foreseeable future. And chest scanning does work also, so boom, boom, there we go. And that's probably going to be about all that we need for observations, to be honest. I don't know, does this work? Does it really? Yes, it does. I can scan basically. Yeah, nothing new can be learned from this, but oh man. Okay. That's just blocks. This one probably has a bit. There we go. Okay. So chances are we're probably good on observations now. If we open our book up here and we pull up, let's see. Yeah, right here you can see our amount of theories that we've gotten. We've got 1 in fundamentals, 1 in energistics, and then we have all these observations, which, like I said, is probably enough that we won't need to scan anything ever again with the thermometer. But the thermometer is still kind of nice to have on you, and we will need it for a couple things later. But anyways, we can go ahead and complete this. This is for Celestial Observation. Not something that tends to be all that important. It can be used for some pretty good research from the research table for theories, but overall it's not something that you really have to concern yourself with too much. And we can go ahead and turn this in. And now we learn how to make arcane stone. Well, I think it's already craftable, but it basically tells us now how to make it within the book. And now we need an observation in fundamentals, and now they want us to get our crucible, which is kind of our last basic Salus Mundus thing. There we go. And we have that. We'll go ahead and just stick that right there for right now. And it looks like we have 15.8 warp in this area. You can see it up there at the top left. That's one really nice thing about the thermometer. We can see our levels of warp and total V within a chunk using that. So, all right, let's go ahead and complete that. Then we learn how to make Nitor, and now we can discover infusion. Then we can discover Aromancy for this. And we're not going to be doing too much of the book on camera. I just wanted to cover the basics today. Now, Aromancy says visit the lowest depths of the world and the highest peaks you can find. This is actually, of course, very, very simple to do. Right here. Over here, I can just pop down to bedrock. And if we take a look inside of our book, and we give it a second here, there we go. You've visited deep and dark depths and have learned much. So that one's done. And then for the highest peaks, since we have creative mode flight at this point, we can just fly up into the sky and we'll be all good. I love having this fruit of Grisaia because I don't really have to worry about food. The world is spread out before you. Your perspective has been broadened. So now we can discover Aromancy. And now they want us to make the Caster's Gauntlet as well as a V Resonator. V Resonator, okay, that's not too bad. Caster's Gauntlet also not too bad. I want to go ahead and get these. Caster's Gauntlet, of course, being a major tool that we're going to be wanting within Thaumcraft. It's going to be our catalyst for casting spells, basically our spell focus. And then it's also going to be what we use to start infusions. So I'm going to have to make an iron plate. That's fine. Okay, so there is our V Resonator. And let's make sure that the book sees it. I don't know if there's a quest. I don't see one for the V Resonator. Oh, I do have to make a Thaumic Dioptra. It's unfortunate. But it's whatever. I don't see the Caster's Gauntlet on here, strangely. Pretty good chance it'll come up at some point. We are going to have to make more V Resonators, so it's not a big deal. I'm out of Ignis crystals already. Now the nice thing is V crystals, we're not going to have to actually mine these for much longer at all. I'm going to go ahead and just break all of that. There's like 2 stacks. That's okay, because it's going to give us enough Ignis to get started. So there's our Caster's Gauntlet. Requires a bit of V, but you can see that this stuff does recharge fairly fast. Now it does recharge on kind of a scaling system. So right now it recharges about 3 or 4 per second, but it's going to slow down as it gets closer, to maximum. So let's see, 123, 125, 126, 127, 128, and now it's going to take a little bit. I think our max was like 130 something, so it's not going to actually recharge anymore. And now it's 129, you can see. It's going to slowly recharge at this point, but not very quick at all. Anyways, there's that. We have unlocked Aromancy. Now for this, we're going to have to get into Alchemical Metallurgy and Artifice. That's everything that we need out of here for right now. The basic alchemy, there's that. It completes the research. Then they want us to make the Alchemical Brass, Magic Tallow. The Alumentum, we can go ahead and just turn this in and get it. And let's see, what does the quest book want? It wants Nitor. Wants to start getting into Essentia smelting. Get some silver wood. For the enchanted fabric, we could go ahead and do that. And then the goggles of revealing are going to be some leather and some alchemical brass. Okay, yeah, so let's go ahead. We're going to go ahead and get our thaumaturgist stuff real quick. For our alchemical brass, and I also want to go ahead and just get some Nitor while I'm at it. So for Potentia, Ignis, and Lux, coal is going to be 10 and 10 on that. So let's go ahead and just get we'll go ahead and get 10, and then torches, which I think I've got them on me, but they're going to be 5 Lux. So we'll have that, and then we'll have 20 torches. And then we just need our glowstone. So let's go ahead and just get 20 glowstone. How am I out of glowstone? Am I out of glowstone? Oh, it's glowstone dust. Okay. About to say. And I actually only need 10. So. And then the alchemical brass. And if you're not familiar with these, if you need to know what you need, you can click on this and just kind of tab through here and see what has the aspect that you're looking for. We're going to need energetic alloy and instrumentum. It's making more energetic alloy. I've been using that stuff, but I've got 18. That should be fine. So we've got that. I am going to need, let me grab a couple things here. And I'm going to go ahead for right now. I've shown in the past that it's very, very easy to do all of Thaumcraft at your base and never have to worry about flux. It's not a big issue, flux isn't. But in this pack, I'm going to go ahead and do it away from my base because it might take me a little bit before I get up to Essentia Smelting and Warp Cleanup. And I'd rather just, you know, not have to even think about it because stuff in this pack is a little bit more expensive. And I'm going to be doing a lot of bulk crafting here at the get-go. So what we're going to need to do, let's go ahead, dig this down, let's add in our netherrack, and we're going to start a fire. We're going to burn this tree down, and that's okay. Let's go ahead, set this to the water sigil. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, I can, apparently. It says I have, there we go. Yeah, you have to shift right click to do it. And we're going to give this a second to get a good bubble going on. Which will basically mean that it's boiling. Now you want to be careful not to overflow this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do like 9 of this at a time. So we're going to throw in our flint, our energetic alloy. There we go. There's our alchemical brass. And we'll go ahead and just shift right click that with an empty hand and let that flux out into the air. Because we are going to need a flux area. I really don't want it to be this one. I'll probably set up some teleportation later between here, or between our base and, you know, something somewhere. Like a place that we would not mind becoming fluxed out. This one, I don't want to do too much crafting here. It's basically just going to be for this initial batch of stuff that we're going to be making. Because basically what we're doing is we're letting all that extra Essentia, which is basically all that Terra, we're just letting it just go up into the air and become bad stuff, more or less. Okay, now for this, we're going to do that. There's our Nitor. I think we've got enough in here, enough space, so there we go, there's our 10. Alright. We'll just grab that and head back on home. We did complete a quest here for the Nitor. It doesn't give us anything. There's Arcane Infusion. I'm surprised. Oh, I bet I know why the Caster's Gauntlet's not on here. Because I know that the quests are built to pretty much replicate the Divine Journey ones. And so I imagine it's not in here because the Caster's Gauntlet, of course, didn't exist back on 1.7. And instead there was like quests for, you know, wands and things like that. Because you had to get various wands and do node recharging back then. So, let's see, we've got that. Now I want to take a look at making the Goggles of Revealing. Yeah, we've pretty much got all this. I'm just going to need to get the leather real quick. Oh, we're missing research. We have to discover artifice. Okay, my bad. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Arcane Infusion. There's that. There's Alchemical Metallurgy. And now we can unlock Artifice. And then we can get Golemancy. We just have to study an animated construct. This is actually fairly easy to do. I'll show you how to do that here in just a moment. But there is our Goggles of Revealing. And what we're going to do, there we go. I don't think these are ever used for too much. Well, we looked at that. It was just those two helmets. We're going to go ahead and put these onto our Terra Steel helmet. So it will then have the, in addition to everything else, it will have the effects of the Goggles of Revealing. Not as crazy useful as it used to be, but there is still some benefits for that. And yeah, that should be good. We don't get the V discount, I don't think, with this, but I'm not really worried about the V discount. V discount used to be important back in 1.7. It's not really all that important in 1.12. V discount used to be really important, especially early on with Thaumcraft, but with the new system for V, I'm not really a fan of this V system because it's pretty much just like putting it here, but there's really no limits. I mean, later on we're going to have to make a thing that allows us to pull V from other chunks, but there's really no limit, so it's basically just like a free resource. It's like RF power, right? You just have it fairly easily in most situations. Anyways. Okay, so we got that. Now what we need to do, we need to do this right here. Study an animated construct. So what we're going to do for this, we'll put him right down here. And let me grab our thermometer because we're going to need that. There we go. And now we have a golem that just sits down here. And I'm just going to go ahead and kill him off, because I don't really care to have him lumbering about down here. And now we can complete this. So we've pretty much completed all of that. There is actually some additional stuff on this tab, and there is some stuff that's locked and impossible to unlock on this tab. You know, without using commands or something like that. That's kind of hidden away. It's basically because Thaumcraft was never finished. You can see we're still only 28% of fundamentals done at the moment. That's because we have to scan things like PEX and things that relate to taint. And so we'll get into that a bit later. Aromancy, we'll come back to that. The alchemical metallurgy, we'll come back to that. That's making the thaumium. And now we have unlocked Golemancy, kind of. We have to get Essentia Smelting and Hedge Alchemy. A lot of research to do at this point. We have the bare basics knocked out. I think we could probably go ahead and do this. Okay. We'll go ahead and get a whole bunch of mana pearls and mana infused string, and we'll go ahead and knock out this enchanted fabric stuff. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and just take half this, convert it over to mana weave, and enchanted fabric, we're going to use it there, and then arcane androgium. We're going to need a lot of this. Spellbinding cloth. Alright, so let's go ahead and get ourselves our 4 pieces of that, which I think will complete that quest. Yes, and then they want us to make the entire set. Okay. So we'll go ahead and get the Thaumaturge boots. And I'm definitely going to need more mana infused string for this, for sure. Okay, there's a fair amount of mana weave. That should be enough, I think, to get this going. And then we've pretty much come to a point where we need just a bunch of research done, in all honesty. Alright, there's our Thaumaturge robes. And then I just need the boots. Gosh, so much string for this. Alright, so there's our last bit of enchanted fabric. Look, there's our thaumaturge legs. There we go. Thaumaturge armor, which there's no quest reward for that. I'm going to go ahead and mark off start Thaumcraft. We've started it. We've got the basic junk out of the way. At this point, what I have to do is I have to just go through and start doing a lot of basically theory crafting to get like these. But yeah, so I've got to go through and I've got to just make a bunch of things and do some theory crafting. I'm going to do that. It's nothing really... start working my way through that, start doing a bunch of theory crafting here, and just kind of start knocking through this, and having lots of fun. And of course, if you ever get to a point where your scribing tools, whenever they run out of ink, all you have to do is put them in a crafting grid with some ink, and you will get those filled back up. So, but I'm going to start working on that. I will say the next video for CJ is going to be a build video, because we have 2 builds that we have to get built at this point. One is the Golem Bakery building. 2 is our actual Thaumcraft building, so we can actually start setting up some stuff for Thaumcraft. The Thaumcraft building will take precedence. I started laying out the base foundation for the bakery, but I'm not going to get this built before the Thaumcraft area, because it's just not what I need at the moment. So I am going to start working down to the Thaumcraft area, and we'll get that built, or we'll start working on that in the next episode, which will be kind of a build video, like the build videos in the past. So I hope you guys join me for that. We'll start knocking through Thaumcraft. Thaumcraft, we will be doing a lot of work, and we still have some automation to do. Just at some point, it's nothing actually, at this point, it's really nothing that's pressing, truth be told. But we are going to have to do a bit of automation. I need to get the fire water is actually really easy to run at this point, but I do need to get that automated. Lava crystals automated, activation crystals automated, some little things like that, and some assorted little blood magic odd and ends. And we need to get into wheel automation, but that's probably going, well, I can already tell you that's going to be after what we're doing right now, because this is going to set us up to make our wheel automation, something doable for us. And then we've got to basically go through and just automate the odd and end Britannia stuff that we're going to be needing, but once again, not really something that's pressing at the moment for us. So that's why we're pushing on into Thaumcraft. So. But anyways, I hope you guys join me for next episode. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already to stay updated with when new videos come out. And I hope to see you guys next time. So until then, as always, do take care, stay safe. I'll see you guys then.